You're listening to the True North Success Podcast. Real stories of personal, professional, and financial wins from Alberta's best. With your hosts, Gary Ma and Amy Kim.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today, my special guest is Joel O. Joel is an accomplished entrepreneur from Calgary, Alberta, and the founder of East Coast Studio, a company that helps health-focused professionals save time, build authority, and grow their business through powerful podcasting workflows. And he and his team are on a mission to empower creators not only to live and thrive on their own terms, but also to amplify their messages to inspire thousands of people to live happier and healthier lives. I'm excited to dive into his story, his insights on podcasting, how he is helping others make an impact through their voice. So, Joel, I gave a quick overview of your success. But can you fit in the detail of what your business is all about, including your secret sauce and who you serve and how long you have been doing this for?
Sure. Yeah, I've been working in podcasting for almost a decade at this point. It's evolved along the way. I started out as more of a freelancer and then figured out how to run a business over time and start a company and made it a little more official. But these days, what we do is, as you mentioned, we help health and wellness entrepreneurs create great podcasts and harness what podcasting has to offer. So in most cases, these people are trying to build authority, build a brand, generate leads and revenue for their businesses as well. So they're using podcasting as a marketing tool. And they're at the level where they understand the importance of delegating tasks like that. They're not trying to learn how to do it all on their own. They're busy. So we have a one-stop shop basically where it allows them to focus on their recording. So they are dealing with their content, whether it's solo or guest podcast episodes. They do those recordings, they bring it to us. We do everything else from there. So we're doing audio and video editing, writing the descriptions, making social media content, doing the uploads. Everything else involved with creating that podcast, we handle. We keep them motivated as well. We do coaching. But that just lets them focus on what is most important in their business and gives them a nice, easy solution to podcast for the long haul, which is really important when you are podcasting. You know, you need to do it for like multiple years, not just weeks or months. And to make that possible, you need a proper workflow in place that makes it nice and easy. So that's what we're here for.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Amazing. So, there are a lot of competition in the podcast space. What do you feel really sets you apart? And what comes naturally to you that maybe others find a challenge?
Well, I definitely have a background in professional audio, which is nice because, many years ago, that was important where people were looking for who is an expert on this. And I had that background in how to make things sound great. Now, things are changing over time. There are more options out there these days for either like AI-based tools, which can help you, do things on your own, hiring people from different countries for different costs and maybe different experience levels. So one thing that sets us apart is the fact that we're in the health and wellness niche. So it's always important, but in this space in particular, people who are dealing with this type of content, they need to come across as professional and not amateurs. So it's very important to them that the content they put out there looks and sounds great. And that's what we're here for. We deliver a very high quality product. It's for people that cannot compromise on that quality. So we have, like I said, the one place that we deal with all of it, but whether it is like proper grammar and, proper quality, that sort of thing, everything that we do is of that level. So that's really our focus, and what sets us apart is the fact that we are dealing specifically in the health and wellness niche. So we're kind of more familiar with certain terminology and that sort of thing within that space. There's a lot of synergy there with clients and guests and people that we know and work with. And then, like I mentioned, just ultimately making sure that it is of the highest quality possible. And by working with that group of people, we're just able to help serve them better because we see what others have struggled with and how we can apply that in their show, rather than just working with people from any different industry. It helps us to be focused and provide a better service to our clients.
Right. And then how have you get into that industry? This is not everybody would look into to do that, right? So you must have some special story for that.
Yeah, so we originally, as I mentioned, I started out as a freelancer, and as most people know who start a business, you're kind of just doing whatever you can for money. So there was that point in time where I was happy to just do anything for anyone that wanted to pay. It was very broad in terms of service. As it got busier and we had to sort of build a company around it, I started to learn, well, not every type of client is an ideal fit, and there is such thing as turning away money, and that's okay because it's going to be better over time. So as we did that and continued further down that road, we got to a point where we looked at who our best clients were, and they just happened to be a lot in the health and wellness space. That was partly due to just some lucky referrals that we had over the years, people in that space that referred people to us, and then they referred people. So we ended up with a lot of great clients in the health and wellness space. So when we tried to develop this idea of who is our best type of client and who should we be marketing to, that's kind of just where we landed. We were already there, not really by choice. We didn't try to get there, but we saw that. We thought there's going to be a lot of benefits here if we continue down this path and hone in our marketing and our services towards people in the health and wellness space. So we just ended up seeing that and then going towards it. And now, of course, we're farther along there, and many of our clients, or most of them for that matter, are in that space.
I guess when you are providing excellent quality of services and people started talking about your company and just it grows organically, right? Just
Yes, I mean,
natural.
we'd always love for it to grow bigger and faster, but referrals for us particularly have been very, very beneficial. I always love getting a great referral. It's usually a high quality person that comes to us. They want our service. They trust the person that referred them. So yeah, that's always a great way to grow the business for sure, is getting getting referrals. And the more that you have, the more that comes. So I love that.
That's right. Yeah. And how long you have been doing this service, providing services to others?
It's been almost 10 years. So I started as a freelancer. I was doing some voiceover work as well. And then I thought, how can I make more money on my own? And I had this background in audio engineering. So 2014, 2015, podcasting was really starting to ramp up. And I just kind of landed there. And as I mentioned, over the years, it's developed more and more, but became more official as an actual company around 2018. So we're not quite at the 10-year mark, but we're definitely 7 to 8 years in that I've been really doing this as a real company with a team.
Awesome. And would you be able to share what was one of the biggest challenges you have, to overcome in your career over 10 years?
I think for me, it was kind of letting go of control and trusting other people, because there's some benefit to being maybe somewhat of a perfectionist and making sure that all the work that I was doing back then was of high quality, but it's not scalable. I cannot do that on my own forever. So I had to figure out how to actually find quality people to hand this off to, and then how to build systems around that to ensure that the quality was still there. But it was a system that could be followed. You can't develop a system that's too complex or too demanding for others. So that was a big challenge, is first of all, making that realization that I've got to ease up a bit and just trust other people to work, and just let them do it. That was a big one for me. I still struggle with that today. I try to keep an eye on everything, and keep my expectations reasonable. But that was a big one, because if you're gonna insist on doing everything all by yourself forever, you're always gonna be limited in a big way. And that could be fine for some people depending on their goals. But mine, once I saw that the opportunity of having a company, I realized, I want this to be bigger, and I don't want to be working for 16 hours a day every day. So I just had to figure out how to overcome that.
Wow, that's amazing. Yes, I can totally relate to your story because my background is computer science engineering. So, I was trained to put so much into details. And if I miss one, typos in a programming, then I would get thousands of errors. So,
That's very important not to
right?
make mistakes. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So it's hard to trust someone and they can, carry over your work. So
Hmm.
that's a lot of trust required to do so. And we don't want to, build a business at the end that creates more hassles, right? So totally can relate to your story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm. And okay, so then if anyone listen to us now wanted to get better at starting the business with podcasting or they want to do their own podcasting, um, what would you suggest they do? Like where to start and what are the tips you would like to give them?
hmm First thing I like to always talk about is what are their goals ultimately, and then we can see, does that make sense? Are your expectations reasonable? Can podcasting potentially deliver that? And within that conversation would also be the type of business that they actually have. So podcasting can work very great, especially for online businesses, because you can reach a big audience, and then people from anywhere could do business with you. If you're tied to a certain geographical location, there can still be benefits, but it just depends on what the actual goals are. If someone is trying to sell a very mass appeal thing, but they're trying to target a local space, that kind of thing. So we always have that conversation. We want to make sure that it's actually going to be worthwhile for you. So let's start there. If it makes sense, it's in alignment with what can actually be provided. The next thing is the demands of podcasting. This is the second big key, because it takes longevity. You've got to be involved with podcasting for the long term to get really any results from it. So whether it's a demand on your time, a budget, or both, people are going to have different, they'll be in different positions in their business on what they could do. They may have to try to do it alone, or maybe they can afford to outsource it. But if they're not going to commit for at least a year or two, there's not really much point in even starting to begin with, because you're not going to see any results overnight or in 2 or 3 months. So those are the two big ones, is like, can this actually deliver what I want? And then am I committing to doing this long enough to get the results? And do I understand the demands that podcasting will put on me? And that includes all the preparation. If you're doing guest shows, how do I get in contact with those guests? Am I doing that myself? Am I hiring someone to help? There are a lot of considerations. So fully understanding what the demands are, and that will save you a lot of time of say, starting one and realizing, this was not a good choice. It's not going to help me, and it's too much work. We want to avoid that. Making that solid decision up front and understanding will then equip you to make the proper decision and hopefully move forward if it makes sense.
Gotcha. So then, when you have a new customer contacting you and inquiring about, starting new podcasting, is that how would you go? Like have lots of questions instead of meeting and learning about their goals and what they wanted to achieve and how long they can, be consistent.
Absolutely, yeah. And so, like I said, years ago, I would just do freelance work with whoever needed me. These days, we're much more focused, and we're looking for an ideal fit of a client. And so there's no benefit to me as a business owner to take on someone who is not a good fit, or, if they're going to be upset with me because in a few months they're not getting the results that they want. So I'm very adamant about that we need to find out if they are a good fit for what we do. If they're considering starting a podcast, I will always try to help them determine first, does it make sense for them to podcast? Would I personally recommend it? Because if not, I'm not going to say do it anyway, and just to make money for my business, because it's ultimately going to be a problem for everyone at some point if we're doing business dishonestly. So yeah, there is always screening right from the very moment that a person will book a call. They answer some questions, and that helps us confirm that we're at least, we should have a conversation, and then within that we find out more if it makes sense that I'm actually able to help with what they do and everyone's on the same page. And if not, then I'll always give my honest opinion and feedback as well, whether that is that they should have a different option or something else might work better. I've had plenty of calls like that where I'm sending them in a different direction, and then some of them are a perfect fit as well, and that's who we end up working with.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds amazing. So it sounds like things are going really well for you and your business. And a lot of, business owners are looking toward the future and how they can create a passive income to enhance and even replace their current active income. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, I try not to get too wrapped up in passive income, because I think every income requires some kind of work. There's no free ride. I've not seen where it's just there's magic where I just throw money at something and then I never have to do any work again. Whether that's investing in stocks, I've got to keep on top of what if they're, I need to sell them. Investment properties, you can get a property in a management company, but there's still issues that pop up that I've got to deal with. So there's nothing fully passive. That said, I do like the idea of having a reasonable work-life balance, and I think that's something great about entrepreneurship. So I'm totally happy with working. I understand there's going to be work involved for like getting an income. Now I can figure out how to make that more optimal and say delegate more of my tasks so I have to do less, or I'm only working on the most important things. And, so I require less time. But the biggest thing for me really is the freedom that entrepreneurship gives me. So even if I do have to work some long days, I would much rather that and be working for myself and my family. My brother works with me as well. I much prefer that than work for a boss or someone that tells me what to do, or that I can't go on vacation, or I can't do this, or whatever the case is. I much prefer to spend the extra time and make that sacrifice and live with freedom. So even more important than the income to me is just having that freedom to live how I want. So that's my thoughts on passive income. I do like it, and I want to, as we're making income for the business, of course, try to reinvest strategically so at some point I can retire or take it more easily or be diversified, whatever. That's all smart, but it's not a main goal of mine. So long as I'm able to live a life that I want, that's really most important to me.
Yeah, that's really great, because what I'm hearing from you is that creating wealth, that definition of wealth, means to like it's everybody. For everybody, that means it's different. And for you, it sounds like it's not just about making a lot of money or growing your business bigger. It's more about what you can do whenever you can do without asking for permission from anybody, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I think work is just going to be a fact of life, unless you have some situation where you won the lottery or whatever. There's always going to be something to work on. And years ago, as I was learning, over the years with this business, we used to try to make different businesses like stores online and different blogs and that sort of thing to get passive income, because I for some reason thought that was the dream. If I could set this up, I wouldn't have to do any work. But it all takes work. And then when we were looking right in front of us, like we have a successful business right here. How about we just focus our time on that? And, that's really when things really took off, when I stopped trying to find all these other ways to make money without doing any work. It just, to me, wasn't the right thing to focus on.
that's right. Yeah, totally. I can agree that too. Okay, cool. So as we are wrapping up our interview, what exciting plans or initiatives do you have in the work for the next 6 or 12 months?
For us, it's some more of the same and some new. Of course, the industry is always changing and evolving, so we're constantly watching what tools do we need to be maybe integrating into our workflow to stay on top of the game. There are different tools out there that may compete with us, but like I said, our clients are looking for top quality stuff, top quality work. So I believe there's going to be a demand for that always. So we're focusing on doing that as efficiently as we can, delivering the results, bringing more clients, new clients into the business, and looking at the ways that are up to date on doing that as well. But otherwise, yeah, it's just going to be making sure that we are continuing to deliver the great service that we're known for. And I don't think I'm going to be doing anything groundbreaking. Honestly, I'm keeping an eye on different AI technologies and making sure, like I said, that we can be on top of this stuff and changes. Because people come to us with questions like, should I be doing this? Do we need to add this to our podcast? That sort of thing. So I always need to be up to date on that stuff and see how we can better serve people with new technology. But within that, with all that in mind, we're just continuing to do what it is that we do best.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, great. Yeah. Joel, thank you so much for your time today and sharing some insights and tips with us. It was a great pleasure to have you on the show today, Joel. If people would like to connect with you, how they can get a hold of you?
Sure. Yep. EastCoastStudio.com is the website. That's the easiest way. And from there, everything like Instagram and LinkedIn is available as well. Happy to connect.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at TrueNorthSuccessShow.com/guest. We'd love to hear from you.